We are so blessed to have such talented musicians and songwriters in this congregation. And as I understand it, they also wrote the second song that they're going to be singing a little bit later. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We're doing something a little bit different today. I know all of you who've been coming to Unity for a while have your own stories of what Unity means to you and how it's impacted your life. Well, we decided to now and then allow you to share your stories about how Unity has changed your life. So we're going to start that today, and we have 4 people from the congregation that are going to share with you how Unity has impacted their life. So let's get started. Our first speaker is Pam Haase.
Good morning, Unity. Thank you. 7 years ago, this spiritual being was bedfast. I was on heavy medications that many people become addicted to. It was after 9 years of being my mother's guardian, and right after she passed, we brought my baby sister back. And unfortunately, she lost the battle too with addiction. Being the codependent that I am, I feel that I'm sicker than those that go through addiction because I never knew what was normal, what was whole. And like many of you, Reverend Carla Golden reached out for me at a cup of coffee. Little did I know what that would mean. In fact, I said, is there a time limit? And of course there is. And I said, so is there a hook where we're going to be pulled? And she said, no, there's a trap door, and after 5.5 minutes, you're going straight to. She invited me to a concert, and that's a good idea for many of you that don't feel comfortable saying, do you want to come to, well, it's not church, it's not mass. Come and enjoy music in the Spirit. So my husband and I live far enough away, we hurried, and I'm always just on time. And as we arrived in the parking lot, there were many people out there, and I said, oh, good. And most of them were smoking. And I said, David, that doesn't look like the normal thing I'd see. So as we walked in, I immensely got hugged by so many people around, and there were donuts and coffee. So I finally had the nerve to say, what is this? You are at the AA gay and lesbian meeting tonight. I went immediately to my sweet husband and said, get me out of here. And by the grace and the balance of who he is, he said, no, it's not the wrong week. There's a reason you are here tonight. Have the courage to stay. And as each one of those wonderful individuals opened their heart to what addiction had done in their lives, for the first time, I didn't feel it from me. What was done to me? What was me as the victim? What was me that was not whole? I saw the hurt, the pain, the fear, but mostly the love of God. And of course, as we all went around and introduced ourselves, I couldn't be quiet. And I immediately said, thank you, I'm Pam, and I'm not an alcoholic. And you know how that went over. But then I shared the loss. And for the first time in my life, I felt real love and acceptance. And I saw their lives, and by just a slim chance, they were alive that night. So my husband said, we should probably go there and see those people, because it's by the power, if you will, that you are finding the courage. I'm off of 9 different medications. But I thank you, because the spiritual being, I'm learning this, in me had the courage. I found the wholeness. I found the light. If I'm not respected, I don't belong there or with them. I found boundaries that I never found before. I found a wholeness. But I found a peace in your journey, in your love. I was Catholic until I was 10 the first time. And I told the priest, if this is Christianity, you can have it. True. I've been Catholic several more times after that, but more importantly, I was baptized in the American Baptist Church after being baptized as a baby. My baptismal psalm was Psalm 37:4. Delight thyself also in the Lord, also in the Spirit, and you become the divine, and the desires within will be filled. I thank you for being my delight, for being my wholeness, and for making me feel proud to be with you.
My name is Michael, and I'm a Unitic. No, 10:40. Okay, according to this. The other night I was thinking about what I was going to talk about, and I was timing as I was talking, and I reached 9 minutes. So I decided I'm just going to see what guides me today as I talk. Many of you know I'm a crier, so that's going to happen. December 24th, 2009. I walked in here for the first time. Ed and I were looking for a Christmas Eve service that wasn't at midnight. And because it was like, it's been a long time since I've been to a Christmas Eve service. It was like, that'll be fun. I like Christmas Eve. It's always been a magical night for me. And we were looking for places, and Ed had heard of Unity through a friend. It was like, you should really go there. And Ed never did. I never did. So looked it up, Googled Unity of Indianapolis. I was like, oh, okay, well, their Christmas Eve service is at 7. That's good. So, but I read more, and I was like, well, this is different. This isn't how I was raised. This isn't what I was taught. Because from the time I was born until I graduated high school, I went to the Rocheville United Methodist Church, which is, it's still there's a place there in my heart for that place, because that's where my spiritual journey began. But as I look at my life and things that have happened in my life, I was being guided here. When I was 16, I was talking to my minister at the time, and I was like, I think I want to go into the ministry. And he's like, no, you don't. He said, it's the music. That's why you're here. It's like, that's what draws you in here. It's the music. That's what you're getting. It's like, so you don't want to be a minister. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be a minister. Because I did. I was like, I love the music. If you ever went there when I was a kid and you'd be hearing the hymns, you would hear one person above the entire congregation. That was me. Because the louder, the better. But so then, gosh, that's quick. So after graduating high school, I didn't continue going to church. I didn't keep up that habit of getting up Sunday morning and going. But as a teenager, it was my job to mow the lawn. My parents have a 4-acre lawn. It was my job to mow it. So 1 to 2 times a week for 2 to 3 hours is just me on a riding lawnmower, the hum of the lawnmower, and my thoughts. And I would look at the sky, and the clouds would be passing by, birds would be flying, the crops would be growing, and I was like, this is so amazing. It's like, because you plant a seed, and the plants grow, the trees grow, they're just rooted into the earth. But wow, animals, they just move about freely. They're not attached. How does this work? I just think this is so amazing. Life is such a miracle. And so that was just one of the things going through my head. And then another time I was thinking about, there's the Bible, King James Version. Okay, who's King James? Why do we read his version? So I was like, I would really like someday to meet somebody or know someone who has taken the original transcripts of these ancient scrolls and these teachings and then translate them again. Somebody that I was like, because what's missing? What don't I know that's actually there? Or what is this not saying? Or what is it really saying? And so that was just a thought that was in my head. And I was like, and then another time I was like, the Methodists think they're right. The Catholics think they're right. The Baptists think they're right. Jews think they're right. Every religion believes they are the path to God. And I was like, so which one is right? And what came to my head was they all are. I was 17 years old. Never talked to anybody about that again for a long, long time. So, Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2009, walk in here, and then I've been here every Sunday possible since. Another thing that kept me here was when I was 18, I was in Europe on it with a group of singers called Sounds of Hope, and we sang "Let There Be Peace on Earth." We were there on July 4th, 1984, in a French Allied cemetery, and we all held hands and sang "Let There Be Peace on Earth." First Sunday here, at the end of the service, we held hands and sang "Let There Be Peace on Earth," and I was like, oh. It was like, I'm home. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is where God has been leading me all this time. But then again, I was like, but why am I here? It's the music. Came back. I'm about to go over time. So, how has Unity changed my life? It's allowed me to be the me I've always been and grow from that. So I thank you, all of you, from the bottom of my heart. And when I've shared music, I've had people thank me. It's like, thank you for having us sing that song today. I needed to hear that. Or thank you for your music chant meditations. You bring me to a place that nobody else can. or when you sing the Lord's Prayer, I just love that. So, again, when I was 16, that minister was like, you don't want to be a minister, but I am. So, and thank you, Namaste.
Wow. Pam and Michael are just love and expression. Gosh, amazing. I'm going to just turn that over. I don't think I need it. Todd Foushee. I walked in the doors at Unity in 1983 with my partner. Was raised as Catholic. I think I've been Catholic 10 times over, so Pam, I walked the journey. But I so appreciate the Catholic Mass so much better today because metaphysically I know what the meaning is so much more. So now when I return to the Catholic faith, I really honor that service. In 1983, when I walked into Unity, there was a minister by the name of Charles Roth, and a very enlightened soul. And Charles stood right there at that lectern. He was very dry in his delivery, but he looked out and he was reading really heavily into his prepared materials. And he said, there is only love and there is only fear. And he lowered his glasses and he looked up and he said, and where are you today? Wow. I really had to sit with that for a moment because I thought about all the love and fear thoughts I had had that week. And there were a lot more of them that were fearful at the time. But he was so strong in his delivery that I knew my journey began that day from walking in the door. And when I was hearing Michael say, well, even Pam, Michael, and I think every one of you could stand up here and talk about your loving experience and how much you've grown and learned through Reverend Bob and Carla, through past ministers, through the truth principles that we learn. But when I say my journey began because in Catholic faith, I believe that every Sunday was doing my obligation. My obligation is daily, is hourly. I am truly on a journey. I take a step back, hopefully a step forward. I apply the Unity truth principles, which you know they are all about love. When I see someone that's homeless on the street or someone who's thriving in their careers, when I see someone hurting in Malaysia or Syria, or even in our own communities, that is me. That is you. Am I white? Am I black? Am I gay? Am I straight? I'm love. I learned that here. This is a personal walk. This is a personal journey with God. I truly begin my day with God. I live it through the day. I remind myself when I'm in fear of what is mine to do. And I'm trying to step forward in love. And when I come here, I feel it. Through that music, that song of Raising the Veil. If you could put it up for 1 minute, because I'm going to take 1 minute, if you can find it. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. Does that feel good? Whew. No separation. When Charles told me 32 years ago, there is only love or there's fear and there's nothing in between. He went on to make a comment that said a negative thought is no different than me murdering someone, because that negative thought and murder was separate from my God. God is right here in my heart. Go to the next. Is this not what I wake up every day to do? I want to know you. I want to know you. What can I learn from you? I want to see you, not as a black, white, whatever label. I want to see you, because you are me. I'm learning from you. I want to praise you. I want to love you. That is my journey. And that's what this church teaches. Amen. One very powerful thing. When we greet each other on Sundays, it's been a passion of mine that when we shake hands or we hug or we sit in our solemnness, this is 93 years of love right here. But Charles ended that same service by saying, look at yourself in the mirror and look at the people around you and behold the Christ's presence in that person. And that was so powerful. What could I want more for you than to hold the Christ presence in you? Gosh, joys of tears. I can share, I'll cry all day with you, Michael.
God works in mysterious ways. Wonders to perform. I am filled with emotions. I'm filled with emotions of love and joy. I want to thank Pam and Michael and Todd and all of you for just being you. I can truthfully say that I love you unconditionally. And I want you to look at me and think about yourself. I behold the Christ in you. Because it's very plain to see that when I see the Christ in you, I find and see the Christ in me. And that's one of the things that I have learned, that everyone is the Christ. For 60 years, I lived in hell. For 30 years, I've been in heaven. I was an unwanted child by my mother. She had 9 miscarriages before me. They were planned. She did not want me because after I found out and researched, she lived in fear herself. That's the reason I know about the difference between fear and love. She was a biracial child, born in a little small town, Brandenburg, Kentucky. It was about 20-some years after the Emancipation Proclamation. She was the product of a white circuit judge and a black domestic who was a cook in a very wealthy family. In those days, the judge rode in on horseback to little towns, and they judged their cases. My mother felt shamed. She did not want any children. She had these miscarriages. She told me when I was able to understand how she tried and how she did get rid of 9 babies. It was because of an herb she took with gin. So Back those days, they didn't have any Planned Parenthood. So I always felt unwanted. Her mother tried to help her out, I guess, by overindulging, giving her everything she wanted, but that still did not take the fear from her. I was whipped every day, just about. I was told that she did not love me. I remember when I was 9 years old, that was the thing. I was on my way to school, and she stopped giving me a kiss before I went to school. I did not understand. I did not know. I was searching for love. I had a sister who came 3 years later. I remember even like my sister tomorrow would have been 90 years old. She and I depended on each other. We would give whippings and we were sent to our room, and that's when we bonded as two spiritual beings, almost like twins. We confided in each other. We couldn't understand. Our father was just the opposite. He worked 2 jobs. He worked at a place called Hamilton Harrison Company, which was a wholesale tobacco and candy place, and he always with the big band musician. He opened up the Walker Theater. That's the reason everything was music to us. That brought joy to our life. But still, she was with me after he went to work. And one time, it was so severe that the neighbors called so he could come home and protect me. It was something about me. She hated me because I was a first. And that's the reason I know that God intended me for me to be here. I found out that you can't beat God. But I still was unwanted. I had experiences that are like, one thing I'll say about her, because I have forgiven her, and that's what has helped me to be free. I think about the 2 songs that we sang today. I am free and unlimited and no chains that bind me. That's the reason I have this butterfly. At 92, I got a tattoo. And I got my heart to show that I am love, I'm loving, I'm lovable, and I love you. And in 93, I'm gonna get a bird. And that's to say that, I am free. I am free. I think about my life and how God really guides you. I'm going over 5 minutes, I know, but anyway, you just have to bear with it because I'm 93. I'm looking over there at Michael Wright. Michael Wright knew, he sensed that I was upset. He just came over there, sat beside me, took my hand. God told him to do that. That's the thing about it. If we just listen to God, listen to your intuition. I think about how many talented and loving people are here. That's the reason I'm here. I'm gonna tell you how I got here. In 1980, there was a friend, my neighbor, who was an actress. That was the first thing I wanted to be, an actress, a social worker, a librarian, and a teacher. But as a teacher, I did all those things, and my students taught me. like Jim Washington and Charles Poindexter. What a wonder that I say that I taught people who were 80 and 77. What a blessing. When I was feeling, and all the ones that were devilish and mischievous, those are the ones that I attracted. You know, they came to me because evidently they sensed something that I had gone through. They were my teachers. They were my teachers. God bless them all. The students, the teachers, the reader and writer were all in one. Now getting back to what I was going to tell you how I got to Unity. There was one of my neighbors who had a party. It was a numerology party. You know, I didn't know anything about numerology. I'd heard about it, but I am a curious person, adventurous person. I want to know anything that I can find out. It's different especially. So I went there, and so this woman, who was about 20 years younger than I, gave some readings. She told me some things about myself, even that my sister did not know. I always confide in my sister. So I was curious. So I made an appointment to see her. When I went to her, she told me some more things about myself that I had always just kept. And she told me I was an unhappy person. She asked me to come to visit the center, she called it, Unity Center. They didn't call it a church then. I had been christened in a very historical church, which is located right here on Vermont Street, Bethel AME Church. My grandmother, who unfortunately passed when I was 8 years old, was very active in the church. They had deaconess and things. She had the stained glass window with her name on it, Nancy Black. I was named after her. So I was in Sunday school. I was always told that, and in Sunday school, that God was this huge white man with long flowing white hair, sitting on a throne, angels flying around. And he was checking to see if you were good or bad. I thought he's like Santa Claus. So if I was good, I was so happy. But then I would do the least little thing, and I was so fearful I was going to get punished. I was going to this place called hell, where there was a little devil down there with a pitchfork and was going to burn me. I was fearful. I was always filled with fear. My mother was filled with fear. I was afraid about flying on airplanes, about swimming. And so then after I was christened and went to church on a regular basis, went to high school, and so a group of us decided we were going to join the church. So we joined like on a special day like Easter. Still, everything, the minister was also fear-filled and fearful. And he taught fear. You are scared. If you did this, you're going to hell. If you did that, you're going to hell. There's no other place. So I stopped going after I became an adult. My mother, she really hated me. So I was going with this boy. I'm looking for love. And he said, if you don't marry me, it's the end of it. I did. I told my mother 1 hour before I got married, and she started throwing all my clothes on the front yard. After less than a week, I realized I'd made a mistake. I ran into more abuse. My husband, I was young then. He had 3 brothers, and he had been looking in my purse, and when he looked again, he questioned about the money that I'd spent. So I went to his mother. We were staying with his mother and father. Went to his mother and crying asked what was wrong. Her answer to me was, "You must have done something wrong because he wouldn't have hit you." Because Johnny, that was one of the other brothers, never hit Dorothy unless she had done something wrong. Here is fear again. Here is abuse again. I knew that I could not stay in this situation because he did not want me to visit my parents. How could I have gotten in such a mess? I went back home. I had made a mistake. It was, I told you, you are no good. It went on and on because of fear. Sometimes I felt like I had a sign on my back saying, "Abuse me." I felt worthless. But one thing great about my mother, she always wanted us, my sister and I, to achieve, to be the best. And that's what we would strive for. I've had so many incidents, but one thing has told me that there is a God. So many things. I have even had, with the second husband, this is hard to tell you, a gun in my mouth and a knife at my neck. He pulled the trigger and it didn't go off. I was saved. So I was saved for a reason. I didn't know then. I was still fighting for acceptance. I got it from my students. I was driving a two-seater sports car at December 23rd, 1976. A big Fruhoff truck hit me and sent me up in the air. I said 3 words, "Lord, have mercy." The car came down, the truck hit me again. My car was just totaled. The glass was like ice salt. I did not get a scratch. I did not get a cut. I did not get a broken bone. They took me to the hospital. They couldn't understand how I survived. Those 3 words, "Lord have mercy," survived me. That's the reason I survived. I knew that I was here for a purpose. I am here to love unconditionally. You are here to love unconditionally. You and I were created only for good. Only for good. I don't care about the circumstances. I don't care who hurt you. They don't know what they're doing. They have to learn their lesson. We're here to learn our lesson. It's to love. When you mentioned about the different types of faiths, I worked with Dorothy about this. As far as Christian, Muslim, Jewish, you hear them talk, they only talk about one God. There is only one God. It's not a man, it's not a woman. I even hate to define like he or she. It's the spirit within you, it's the spirit within me. It's the spirit within everyone, no matter where you live in China or Africa, Kentucky, or Indianapolis. It's in you. And I'm begging you, I'm asking you, since I have lived a very rewarding life, a very happy life regardless. Because there's old saying about sticks and stones can break your bones, but talk will never hurt you. Yeah, that's true. You might be sensitive to it, but as long as God, and you know God is circulating all through your system, you just say, thank you, God. I am grateful. And that's the way I feel today. I am blessed. And I am grateful. I'm sorry that I took up more than my time. But I still love you for listening. God bless you.
As we move into this time of meditation, I invite you to close your eyes and allow your body to relax. Take a deep breath, hold it a few seconds, and then release. Inhale again, hold it, and then release it. Feel your shoulders release and relax, as well as your jaw and your forehead. Give yourself permission to let go and feel peace. We know that there is only one presence and one power, and that presence and power is alive within each of us. It is in every cell of our body. In the awareness of God's presence in us, we bring to mind others who we wish to pray for today. Any individuals, organizations, or countries. We affirm and know for them that God's presence and power is flowing through them, healing and prospering them. We see them expressing their divine perfection in all areas of their lives. We see their lives unfolding according to their soul's highest good. And we release them, knowing that all is in divine order. As we move further into this time of prayer and meditation, I invite you to allow my words to be your words. There is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. It is flowing through me, circulating in me. I am one with its rhythm. My heart beats with the pulsation of the universe, in serenity, in peace, and in joy. My whole physical being is animated by the divine spirit. And if there is anything in it that does not belong, it is released now. I am healed, whole, and healthy. I live in an abundant universe. God's good is everywhere present. I accept the good that is mine by divine right. I know that I am worthy of this good, and I allow it to flow to me now. I release any thoughts or ideas that might stand in the way of my receiving this good now. In gratitude, I give back to the universe. I share myself and my time, talent, and treasure, and give thanks for the good that I have received and will receive. So I release all fear and choose to live in faith. We prepare now for a time of silence. We know that guidance comes to us and through us when we allow ourselves to visit the secret place of the Most High, and when we invite Spirit, the I Am, to work in us. So let's take a moment and allow ourselves to rest in the consciousness of our oneness with God. I have the power to create a happy and successful life. My thoughts and words create. So starting today, I choose my words carefully. I choose to focus on the good in my life. I choose to use words that are uplifting and encouraging. I build up with my words and not tear down. I choose to come from love instead of fear, and to affirm the good in others rather than look for flaws. I allow my heart to fill with love for all people, the people sitting with me here today, and to all the people of the world. I bless the world and affirm that all countries shall come under the divine government of God, under the divine providence of love, and under the divine leadership of God. And so it is. Amen.